from Havili was magic. The shift on for Crotty. Boom, far down you go, Quackett Smith. Me, oh my, I have enjoyed that. Yes, boy.
Sit back, relax, put your belt on, and enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Draft Rugby Show, where we discuss fantasy Super Rugby, the game they play online in heaven. Now, I'd like to start off with some apologies. I give our listeners my sincerest apologies for leaving you in the hands of my co-host last week. They were clearly rudderless and in dire need of their captain to steer the ship. So my apologies for that. There's some ridiculous antics there, but we'll correct as much as we can tonight. Speaking of those lost lambs, I am joined by the men themselves, Harry and Nelson. How are we, lads? And how are the excitement levels as we build towards kickoff?
Mate, I'm pretty good. Look, I think this podcast has got to a worse start than last week, but hopefully we can fix it when you stop talking. But yeah, look, I'm very excited. We've got some trials this weekend. Footy is upon us, so I've got the tingles in the places I shouldn't.
Harry?
Yeah, I had a great time last week talking about footy without you, and fair to say I'm looking forward to the end of this podcast now.
I feel like you guys felt like it was uncensored, you know what I mean? You could let loose. You could just talk up the bosh of your family for hours.
Well, the thing was,
I'll give you credit, you didn't. But
we could squeeze so much like facts and info in because we didn't have to listen to you waffle on.
No, people are just there for my opinions, let's be honest. But no, very good. Yeah, I'm excited as well. We got footy tomorrow, the TARS trial game. Very professional there, I'll turn that off. You've got to download the Clutch Sports app or something to be able to watch it. But
yeah, Clutch TV.
I've already gone on that, so that should be good. But tonight's pod, let's get into the menu. For entree, we're going to make our predictions on who will be the top of the Australian fantasy players across Super Rugby AU and the Trans-Tasman competition. So that's average points at the end of those seasons. For main course, we will be deep diving into the 5 Aussie franchises, all their ins and outs, their best lineups, and keeping you up to date with our fantasy stock market. And for dessert, we will be giving our predictions for the conference rankings. So, and who will make the Super Rugby AU final, and how the Australian teams will fare in the Trans-Tasman, and so on. And any listener questions that we have got in. So, the Waratahs flag coming out. For those of you who are not who are listening, of course you can catch us on YouTube and get after the site at draftrugby.com. Lots of exciting things coming there.
Yeah, no awards for picking who we go for.
It's true. If you haven't by now, then it's all right. We have sky blue glasses on at all times. All right, let's get into it. The entree. Predictions for top 3 fantasy players of the Australian Conference. Unique. We can't all pick the same players. And for missing last week's pod, I have been given the honour of going last. So very exciting. But look, first of all, in 2020, how about we go through what we predicted? Nelson, what did you predict in 2020?
I predicted Tate McDermott to be top, and he was the top. So that was correct. I also predicted Pataya and Fainga. So both pretty solid players.
Pataya, 30
Did Nelson get to go first? Does Nelson got to go first, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And he picked the 32nd and 25th picked as well. But well done for Tate McDermott. That's a good call.
I think an injury to Pataya probably threw a bit of a spanners in the work. He came off the bench a handful of times at the start of the Super Rugby AU time there, but
yeah, I'm not sure who would pick a bloke coming off the bench. But having said that, I'm pretty sure Tate came off the bench a fair bit and still was the number 1 average. So
yeah,
it's all right. Look, it wouldn't be a Nelson justification without an excuse. So
all 3 of mine played. I'll just put that out there.
Very good. All right. Well, he's leading me on, so I picked second, and one of the players I picked did not play. Isaac Lucas instead, shall we just say, opted for another path and did not play any Super Rugby. So
we did make these picks before the original Super Rugby before COVID as well. So this is not made in the COVID break. So I think you can be forgiven for thinking that he might get some more game time before he left the Reds.
Yes, and obviously I'm the one who buys into the hype train. I was looking forward to Xavier Lucas, but no, my other picks were Tom Banks, who
It
ended
was
up with
worse than any of mine, to put it
an
out.
average of 33.
No. He was the 33rd ranked Aussie.
Oh, okay, excellent. That's
His
well
average was 29.
and also picked Mark Nwinganitawasa.
Nwinganitawasa, you can't even say his name, and he got an average of 13. Too far down to count.
That's obviously why he couldn't hear me because I was saying his name incorrectly, so he didn't know that I was yelling at him at the Tars games.
We'll move on.
I'll have to pick that
Now,
up.
I'll start with my best pick. Issy Nasarani, despite a slow start, ended up coming 11th overall for the Aussies. Kurtley Beale, who obviously left in the COVID break, so I still think he was a shoo-in, but I've been unlucky there. And then I picked Choo Choo as the last pick as a possible smoky.
Horrible.
And he only had a 21 average, didn't do too well. But Western
probably-
Force, maybe a new lease on life.
He might not have been top 50, 21.
I'm surprised by seeing that pick. He's normally in my camp, but he also did go on to lose me our fantasy final last year. I had to pick one of my final players and put my faith in the Choo Choo. And if you remember, in the Super Rugby AU final last year, he dropped a ball right over the try line to basically lose me the
We
chance.
paid him to do it.
That was great. But no, okay, very good. Interesting picks there. Yeah, it's amazing how much changed before all the abridged competitions that went through last year.
Let's get on with it, Craigs.
Come on,
And
mate.
exciting to see what we picked this year. So I'm going to ask Harry. You're up first. Who are you picking in 2021?
I've learnt from my mistake. Tate McDermott, number one.
My success.
He's a shoe-in. Number two, I'm going to go Filippo Dangunu. I think he was electric last year. And then Harry Wilson as well. He started the year so strong, kind of faded a little bit in the back end of Super Rugby. I think this year his work rate will just be consistent all the way through, and that'll be the top three fantasy picks, I think.
I think that's got a pretty good shout to it. Tate McDermott, I won with him last year, right? And the other two, I think they'll be right up there. It's interesting you've gone for all Reds players. They are the most exciting of the Aussie teams. So there you go. I've gone with Jake Gordon. He had a really solid season last year. There's a bit of time he was injured. He was out of it. I think he's going to have a really solid time and step up as a leader. Now the captain of the Waratahs. Jack Dempsey, he finished the season on a real solid high. A little bit of a disrupted season. Didn't make the Wallabies. It's his last chance, I reckon, before he heads offshore. So he's pretty exciting. And then Jordan Pataya. Yeah, he's a hot shit. So if he can stay injury free, I think he's going to be right up there. Craigs, I reckon I could pick a couple of yours.
Oh, look, I'll give you the stab. The floor's open. See if you can pick.
Vunivalu, Taniela Tupou, and
Kata. Falafinga.
Yeah.
Well, combined out of those three, you picked two of them.
Was it
so
both me?
Who's the odd one out?
Who'd you go? Come on.
So, Vunivalu and Falafinga.
Oh, you not got Tupou. That's silly, mate.
I do love Tupou. I just discussed that I will not be making the same mistake in the draft last year. I will be getting in my fantasy team, even if I have to pick him second. I don't care. He's coming to my team. But no, Vunivalu, I'm just hype train, standard me. The man looks like a machine. He's enormous and an incredible athlete. He's going to be scoring tries on the wing for the Reds for sure. Falafinga, I think he'll be even hungrier. I think he'll be hungrier than he's ever been, just because he kind of fell out of the starting position in the Wallabies jersey. And whilst the Brumbies certainly have more attacking weapons, I think they're still going to be using the rolling more. So, and my third pick, Tom Wright. I just think a player who has been getting better and better, and I'm excited to see what he can bring. So,
I almost picked him. I think he's a pretty good shout. He had some really solid games last year. Better for all of his experience too.
Exactly. All right. Well, we'll see how those go this time next year. But and hopefully I get to pick first next time. So very good.
Make sure you write them down so we can keep you accountable as well.
I was actually just starting to write them. I will as soon as I pass on the baton to you, as it were.